Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to today's video where you are looking at the Krayt Dragon Slayer firsthand, and we're going to tell you how to maximize your scores in the Krayt Dragon Raid in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. We have the 5 best teams, and we're going to put it all in one video with graphical guides, how to perfect your mods and maximize the score to get your guild the highest crate they can get in the Krayt Dragon. I smell one close by. Let's go get ready, prep you guys, and show you how to take down a Krayt Dragon on your own. There are 5 go-to teams inside of the Krayt Dragon Raid. We're talking Hutt Cartel, Mandalorians, Tuskens, the Old Republic, and Jawas. You can't do anything else. Now, your scores are going to vary depending on the relic levels you have on your characters. But no matter what, we're going to try and help you maximize your score despite whatever relic and gear levels you have. We're going to start off with the first team that's obviously the best and the best function of how well your guild's gonna do, and that's the Hutt Cartel with Jabba the Hutt. Jabba the Hutt is gonna be the easiest team, the most no-brainer team. Not much strategy involved except 3 things. I want to give a shout out to my guild over at KOF. They made some fantastic graphics which they have allowed me to share. As we said, the 3 things you gotta do. Number 1, remod Jabba for maximum health with lots of speed in him to get as many turns as he can. Number 2, you might be asking, what's AUB? Always use basics. Jabba the Hutt, you're only gonna want to do basics. He has all these abilities he can use. Just use basics, because on Jabba's kit, when he does basic, that's gonna be the best way for him to push that ultimate charge. Again, it's a race to the finish line to get Jabba to 2 ultimates. And the 3rd thing to keep in mind with the Hutt Cartel, you want to spam special abilities on the rest of the members to push Jabba's ultimate charge. And that even includes using the event special abilities such as the bomb explosives. Those count as special abilities and feeds Jabba's ultimate. And when Jabba already has 100% ultimate charge and he's waiting for his turn, don't waste your specials. Wait for Jabba to use his ultimate, then start the charge process again by spamming the special abilities. Side note, the thing that the Hutt Cartels have going for them, they instantly destroy the bombs. And they have a fast recharge process to get the bombs out there again. So you should have no problem whatsoever, especially when the Krayt Dragon burrows. Whoop! You're gonna pop that sucker right back up, let me tell you. I have my team at Relic 8 was able to hit 2.7 million consistently. It shouldn't be a problem. It's gonna be a lot easier if you're at the lower tiers too. My second favorite team to use in the Krayt Dragon Raid is gonna be Mandalorians. Now, you're gonna get some really high scores with Mandalorians. It's not as easy as I think Hutt Cartel. I think Hutt Cartel is the easiest to work with. Now, the must-haves for this team really are gonna be Maul. You need Maul to do this. You're gonna need Beskar Mando. He's the only hero unit for this event. And you're really gonna want to have Canderous and Bo-Katan on this team. Now, you might be asking, do you need armor? No, you can use Jango Fett. A lot of people have high relic Jangos. It's going to be a little bit trickier. Armor is going to make things a lot easier because she has another swarm ability, and she's got armor shred and can pass around the Beskar. But also, more importantly, their attacks don't trigger turn meter gains. I think Bo is basically necessary to maximize your score, mainly because you're going to recover health and protection, and when you max this ability out, that's where you get that extra protection regeneration when Mandalorians attack out of turn. Survivability, this team does pretty well. In terms of modding and strategy, basically what you need to do, if you're running armor or Jango, you need them to be fast to go before the Krayt Dragon Raid, and that means you got to be somewhere over 360 speed. You also want to maximize your momentum and turn meter gains through applying damage over time. So to do that, you probably want to get potency on Beskar, Armor Mando. And although my guild recommends offense and health sets on Canderous Ordo, I personally found more success running potency sets on Canderous to apply more damage over time. We're going to talk about this in the later parts, especially with the Tuskens, but damage over time application is going to be important because, for example, Tuskens, when you apply damage over time, you get more momentum. And there's also turn meter gains, so keep track of that. That's why Beskar Mando loves damage over time. Tuskens love damage over time because of all these additional bonuses depending on the tier you go into. The main beats of the Mandalorian battles, you got to make sure Beskar Mando gets a turn before the Krayt Dragon goes. So you want to start off with the armor or Jango using a special ability. Maul takes a turn, does his AoE. Then you just want to do Canderous basic, and then Beskar Mando comes in, does his stance, and Maul starts the party. The 2 other key things you want to keep in mind with this team is you want to make sure you're using the Whistling Birds at the right time. You don't want to waste them when the crate is burrowed. And also, you want to do lots of basics on the bombs so that Maul can take advantage of the bombs when he does his first special. If he finishes off a bomb, he's going to get the maximum stacks again. to get you another mass swarming session. All right, the third best team, it's probably up in the air for debate. I'm going to say the Tuskens are the third best team in the game when it comes to the Krayt Dragon. Biggest downside? You don't get that immediate satisfaction like the Hutt Cartel or Mandalorians, and it seems like they're not doing a lot, but you just gotta let them cook. The main tips and strategies when taking advantage of the Tuskens is you're really not doing raw damage on the Krayt Dragon. You're relying on the ballistas to do damage, and you really only want to use ballistas on 3 characters, the non-attacking characters, Tusken Chieftain, Tusken Shaman, because when they utilize ballista, they're gonna do bonus damage based on the stacks of momentum they had. Well, how do you get momentum going? Luckily, in this event, when you apply damage over time, Tusken Shaman Basic, very helpful, for example, that's a way to get your momentums up. You want to make sure you're taking advantage of the Warrior. Her first special gives momentum to the team. Shaman's Basic applies damage over time, grants momentum. Tusken Chieftain's Basic applies momentum on the basic. You're not going to have any trouble with this team retrieving your friend that's swallowed, because one of their other special fortes is they reduce the cooldowns of ballista so much you're going to be spamming ballista ton to save your friends, but also do pretty much all of your damage. The key thing to keep in mind with this team, the hardest part, is bomb management. You want to make sure the bombs are ready before the Krayt drops. So again, you're not worrying about so much hitting the Krayt Dragon with your abilities like the other teams. You want to make sure you're using basics and assists to take out the bombs, and ideally before the Krayt barrows, you want to make sure you get at least 1 bomb to 1 stack and the other 2 to about 2 stack. And the last thing to keep in mind as the overarching tips, has a really important ability, a turn meter push. Either you're going to use his basic to prime the bombs, you're going to use the ballista because he's a non-attacker and he has a lot of stacks of momentum, or 3, check your turn meter. If your turn meter looks pretty good on the other characters, don't waste it. Use it when it looks like you're low on turn meter, because it's a massive push to help you get across that finish line and eke out more damage. Moving on, team number 4, could be number 3 depending on how you like it. This team gives you the immediate satisfaction that you're doing something. We have the Old Republic, or I like to call the Big Booma. And I just want to put it this way, there's a couple different Old Republic teams out there that you can utilize. Some people might not want to upgrade Mission, but I think she makes the mission so much easier, hence why her name is Mission. Come on, folks. I also gave up 2 Zetas on this team. Did it feel good? I went so long in my life without needing a Mission Zeta. It helps out a ton. This battle is all about ramping up Mission, letting her do damage. She might be one of the hardest hitting characters in this raid, consistently hitting over 100,000 damage per hit. So it's all about getting her to assist, and the Zeta on her, she assists off Zalbar. This might not maximize a tier 6 run and get you 2.7 million, but it's gonna get you some really solid damage. I'm gonna disagree with the graphic a little bit here. I went a little bit different with my modding on 2 characters. I found more success modding for an offense and potency set, and with Jedi Knight Revenant, I actually modded him for an offense set because he felt like the second wave of damage after Mission. And the other thing I want to point out, don't make your team faster than these recommended mods. I went faster above and beyond the speed recommendations, and I felt like I was too fast and the strategy wasn't working. Really make sure you have the turn order right, and also make sure you're not going too far beyond what the speed recommendations are. The main things here is attacking out of turn does more damage, and that's one reason my mission does pretty darn well. Also, this team has a lot of buff immunity, and always try to time out Jedi Knight Revan's Mark or Bastila buff immunity to control the amount of buffs that the Krayt Dragon gets, such as the tenacity of the critical damage immunity. And with this team, you should have no problems retrieving your friend that got swallowed up. With Bastila's ability block, her stuns, her buff immunities, Jedi Knight Revan's buff immunities, and the ballistas, which you only want to use ballistas when your friend gets swallowed up, you should have no problem retrieving your friend again. And lastly, you're going to utilize Jawas. Jawas are probably the 5th best team, or I guess the worst team, because there's only really 5 factions to pull from. You got the Jawas. This is just pure RNG on how much damage you're going to actually do in this tier. Really, the thing to keep in mind is the thermal detonators allow you to do more damage on the Krayt Dragon with the Jawas. Your damage is increased by 9% for each thermal detonator on the Krayt Dragon. So you're not really relying on the thermal detonators to do the damage by exploding. You're relying on the thermal detonators to allow you to apply more damage with your Jawas. So what it comes down to truly is you want to make sure your potency is jacked up on your Jawa Scavenger, because the Jawa Scavenger unique makes this all possible. Every time your Jawas are being hit, he's applying the thermal detonators on the enemy, Krayt Dragon. And basically the rest of the team, you want to just maximize the offense. It makes no sense in other areas of the game, but putting as much offense on the Jawa, Dacha, even Chief Nebbit is what you're going to want to do, because when you have those thermal detonators, you want to take advantage of it by having as much offense to throw at this dragon and get that score to jack itself up. So your damage is going to really vary. It's really meant to get that like final 600, 900,000. Maybe you'll get lucky, get into the millions. I don't see this team anytime soon pushing like a 2.7 million score. And that's going to basically wrap it up as your one-stop shop overview to how to maximize all of your teams in the Krayt Dragon Raid. The biggest tip I can truly give, if you really want to maximize your score, you probably have a lot of these teams. There's some variation very close to these teams. The most important thing is modding. And I can't express enough, simply by modding, trying to get within the right speeds, the general stats of what to shoot for, it's going to make your runs so much better. I believe modding's at least 60% of getting the best run possible, 30% strategy, and 10% a bit of sprinkle of RNG and luck in there. But until we meet again, leave that like, go down below and leave a comment on how you're feeling. And more importantly, always remember how it's great to be in the Empire today. Oh, it's great to be in the Empire today.